Thanks for staying tuned to your station, the AfricaTelevision, and welcome to your program, Security Watch Africa. Wherever you are watching us today, I say welcome to your program. My name still remains Patrick Abambo. It's another exciting day. Today we have packaged a very loaded program for you to look at the issue, the current situation. Some have said the new normal, but really we are at a time in our lives where a lot of things have really changed, and I'm all trusting on God to see us through, and that I'm sure He will certainly do. Wherever you're watching us, whether you're watching us online via Facebook or YouTube streaming, you're welcome to the program. Yes, today already in the studio I have my brother who will be joining us to look at some of the issues that are very, very pertinent, particularly in Nigeria. There was a presidential order about interstate travel, restriction on interstate travel, but it seems that Nigerians decided to just flout the law. We'll be looking at the implication of it, but that will be after we bring this report from what it's happening in terms of the fight against insurgency and terrorism. Some people have felt that it's their fight, not our fight. But what Security Watch Africa, SHULLY Daniels put together a report and spoke with some people about what should it be, how should Nigerians perceive or take the fight against insurgency and terrorism. Sit back as we bring you this report.
Terrorism and insurgency has claimed thousands of lives, destroyed properties worth billions of naira, and taken away sources of livelihood from many persons, particularly in the northeast of Nigeria by Boko Haram elements. With the advent of Lieutenant General Tukur Yusuf Buratai as the Chief of Army Staff and the political will by President Muhammadu Buhari, the Nigerian Army, leading other security agencies, reclaimed territories previously controlled by the Boko Haram elements and poised to bring to an end the disastrous activities of terrorism and insurgency. In this drive, the Nigerian Army and other security agencies have been faced with nonchalant and sometimes uncooperative attitude by some Nigerians and communities. Security Watch Africa spoke with some Nigerians on what is expected from citizens and communities if the country must win the war.
The war against Boko Haram in Nigeria is not a war between the Nigerian army or the Nigerian military and Boko Haram terrorists. The war against Boko Haram in Nigeria is the war between the enemy of Nigeria and Nigeria. So Nigerians need to understand this fact that the military are not fighting for themselves. That's why it is called Nigerian military. It is called Nigerian army. It is called Nigerian Air Force, Nigerian Navy. The people that made up the armed forces are people from Nigeria. They were recruited from every of the states in Nigeria. So we need to understand that the war is they are fighting on our behalf. They are not fighting for themselves. Sometimes when I read the report and I see stories, I see people talking and saying that can't they just kill these boys and they forget it's the military. They know what they are doing and all. You don't know what you are saying. These boys are fighting our country. They are our enemies. So we need to be united in our discussions. We need to be united in our thinking, and by that we'll be able to support the military better.
The way we tend to perceive things, we don't try to divorce the era of politics from the era of governance, and I think that's one of our major problems, because you see, in developed climes or in civilized climes or in other climes, what naturally happens is that the army is everybody's business. It is not the leader or the party who is in power that has control over the army. It is not the party that is in power that should be able to actually determine whether the army is doing well or not. It's supposed to be everybody, because it is a Nigerian army. It is not Buratai's army. It's not APC's army. It's not PDP's army. It's nobody's army. It's Nigerian army. It's to protect the territorial integrity of the nation called Nigeria. And so I think the war basically is Boko Haram versus Nigeria.
The Nigerian army, they are making progress. Whatever opinion that any individual has as against the fight, that is his opinion. But you and I know that people, fathers, they are there on the front line, putting their life to protect you and I.
it's just a question of giving the military all the necessary support and understanding they require to enable them to succeed. Because if we don't, who else will do this job for us? And thankfully, they are doing it very well. They have done it elsewhere. And of course, if you look at it from 2015 to date, the tremendous effort being put in place is so wonderful that we have the peace we have now. And if you look at it, fighting terrorism and insurgency is something that even the so-called developed countries are really grappling with it. But Nigeria, we have even made records in the sense that, within the 10 years, we are able to, degrade the Boko Haram terrorists. Now they no longer have the freedom of action or freedom of movement as they used to have, in those days.
It is no doubt that to win the war against insurgency and terrorism, Nigerians must join hands and cooperate with the Nigerian army as the fight is against the nation Nigeria. SHULLY Daniels, Security Watch Africa, Abuja.
Yeah, welcome back. Yes, really, there's need for all Nigerians to join hands together and ensure that this fight against insurgency and terrorism, no matter what part of the country it is, that we overcome it. Really, it's a fight against Nigeria as a nation, not a particular region or particular person or the Nigerian army or the Nigerian armed forces. No, it's against the nation Nigeria. Yes, welcome. The period we are now, the coronavirus known as COVID-19 pandemic, has actually changed a lot of things. And one of those things that people are worried about is job security. How secure are the jobs of so many millions of people across the globe, particularly here in Nigeria, and narrowing down to the issue of hospitality? It's in Abuja, for instance, we are told that the largest level of employer in Abuja is the hotel business, the hotel industry in Nigeria, in FCT, the capital of Nigeria. So Peggy AGBEH decided to find out what is being done to guarantee the job of those who are currently engaged with some of these hotels. Sit back as we bring you this report.
Globally, coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic has caused untold hardship and claimed many lives. Human existence seemed threatened as government and organizations are battling to control the spread and possibly invent cure for the deadly virus that has infected over 5 million persons in 213 countries and territories around the world and 2 conveyances. Some countries have gone into recession and millions of persons have lost or are at the verge of losing their source of livelihood as business concerns are drastically affected. Since 27 February 2020, when the first index case of coronavirus was reported in Nigeria, the Nigerian government and its health agency has announced various measures to interrupt the spread of the virus. One of these measures was a lockdown of hotels. In Abuja, where hotel industry employs over 30,000 persons, the lockdown order by the government was adhered to by the Hotel Owners Forum. But this has brought lots of concerns for the job security of these 30,000 Nigerians and the confirmed operation of these hotels. To find out how the jobs of hotel workers can be secured, Security Watch Africa spoke with the president of Hotel Owners Forum Abuja, Chief CHIKE EZEUDEH, on what measures his forum has taken to prevent sacking of staff.
I think it should be on record that the worst hit in Abuja, knowing fully well that we have about almost 400 hotels in Abuja that belong to our members. And meantime, we are on total lockdown, complete lockdown. Complete lockdown, nothing is working. All the hotels are closed. Mark you, those that are members, I'm talking of our members, all the hotels that belong to HUFA, they are all closed. Because we have to obey the federal government directive. I personally wrote a letter to all our members to obey the federal government directive. We depend on what we get in a month to pay the staff salary. Whatever we get, that's from where we pay staff salary, because we have, in addition to the staff salary, we have to pay other bills. I'm not saying that some of them may not pay some percentage, but for 1 month, for 2 months, going to the 3rd month, such an industry that employs that type of number of men, and then contributes so much to the GDP. Normally, government is supposed to listen to them.
A manager of a top-flight hotel in Abuja, ALAIN SALAMEH, also spoke on the current challenges confronting hotel operations.
Since the first lockdown, we are closed. We are not working, and it's very hard. It's getting very hard on us. Last month, this month, and the next month, it's really hard. We have like a cost that if we are operating the hotel or we are not operating the hotel, we have to pay this one. Like an example, electricity. You have to pay electricity, and it's really a big bill monthly to be paid. And we don't want to retrench our employees. They are the fixed asset of this hotel. There's people working for years with us, so it's not easy to take these decisions. So we take care about our employees, about their families, but we need some support from any place.
Chief EZEUDEH called on government to assist the hotel industries in Abuja with some palliative and waivers.
And what we want now is government to address those challenges, give us palliative. Give us palliative. For example, if they give us palliative in payment of staff salary, give us palliative so that we can get tax waiver from all these tax organizations, FCDA, AMAC, FIRS. Defer them for some time. We're not saying that we're not going to pay, but move them up for some time so that we can be able to survive.
A passionate cry for government intervention was made by a worker in one of the hotels, CHINYERE NWAOZOR.
There are fears of how the organization will be able to afford paying salaries, continuing paying workers' salary. And that is why we are now asking for the government to come to our aid, to be able to assist organizations like us, hospitality industry, to be able to continue paying their staff, be able to continue taking care of their staff members, so that we don't go all jobless or out of job. Because as it is now, where we are rendering services, we are actually not doing anything now, and the revenue, source of revenue as it is actually closed.
It is indeed pertinent for government to intervene in the current challenges faced by hotels in Abuja to ensure security for its employees. PEGGY AGBEH, Security Watch Africa, Abuja.
Welcome back. So many issues coming up this period of coronavirus. Really, job security is one important issue that Security Watch Africa is concerned about, that we'll be looking into in one of our editions, because so many organizations are threatened, and many Nigerians may be on the streets, and that will cause a lot of insecurity. Yes, let me bring in my guest, who is in the studio already with me, Shino Phillips. You're welcome.
Patrick, good to see you.
Yes, maybe before we go to the issue, the main topic of today, which is the compliance to the interstate restriction, travel restriction. You watch this news on job security.
Yes.
Are you worried? Because the implication is that it may put a lot of pressure on the security agencies when people are sacked.
Well, it's worrisome, as you see the world over. But what it simply signals is for government to begin to have its own strategy in place, especially, for instance, the industry that we just looked at, the tourism industry, hospitality business, for instance, is the worst hit as like any other sector. It's, and in the last 2 months, we've seen outside, beyond our shores, we've seen how government stepped in to help small-scale business and also help us. There's need for intervention in order for us to avoid, a sudden escalation in crime rate in Nigeria. There's need for consultation. There's need for government to have a committee in place that will basically look at the best strategy that can help with waivers and support to this,
I know that there's a committee headed by the Vice President, Professor Oshibajo, to look at into this economic
it's
stimulus.
very important.
I think that may look into, because it's quite alarming that
dependence should not be totally on government. It's a collaborative thing, you know. That's why I say consultative, because, you know, government and the private sector, we need to sit together, look at the best strategy, look at the best measures.
Yeah, because there's a hotel that I know that it just in 1 month when they were not operating, they were giving electricity bill for so much.
Yes,
how are we going to pay when they are not operating? And
these are the kind of waivers that need to come.
So those are the kind of waivers that could be looked into. All right. Yes. We're looking into the issue, the aftermath or post-COVID-19 lockdown. A lot of issues will come up, and that is our concern. The issue of security is very, very important, because a lot of people will be on the street looking for what to eat if they don't have jobs to do. So it's important we dedicate a full program on that. But today we'll be looking at the issue. The federal government has to check the issue of the spread of coronavirus, at putting a restriction on other interstate travels. But it seems that Nigerians don't want to get restricted. Phil, what is your take on this?
Well, I want to take it from this angle, because I know that our security agencies have been highly burdened, belabored with the movement, for interstate movement. But I want to take it from this point that, for instance, when the lockdown order was issued, there was need, again, for state governments, you know, the governors of the different states, to consult with stakeholders in their different states, and also look at the different borders, considering the fact that our borders are very porous. For instance, if you look at River State, you can tell different entries and different exits. And how do you man these posts, these different border posts? It's so very important that from the word go, that information management, strategic information becomes very necessary with respect to, you know, ensuring that strong enforcement, ensuring that there won't be flow from one state to another. I looked at the issue of the governors consulting with traditional rulers in some of those state borders. Also look at possibilities of making sure that there are proper adverts. For instance, look at with respect to COVID-19. All the billboards are just they're empty. They should be informing people, because it's very obvious that misinformation has taken the place of proper, effective information with respect to protecting our borders also.
But let me take you on this.
Yes.
Is it misinformation that will make a man leave Abuja, for instance, decide to go and visit somebody in Ilorin, in Kwara State, when you know, obviously, there's restriction and you are told that there's no interstate travels, but you just want to go, and you believe that you can bribe your way through, and indeed you bribe your way through.
Well, I don't think the issue is a matter of bribe. I think we have to look at our behavioral pattern within Nigeria. I'll tell you one thing. For instance, look at the war that the Nigerian military are trying to execute, for instance. If the people are not informed that the war is an ideological war, some Nigerians are willing to cede their children on the side of the enemy. So in the same vein, it's necessary, you know, that Nigerians are properly informed, knowing our behavioral pattern, that even if you have the devil standing on the borders, some Nigerians will still want to find their way into wherever they are going. So I think that proper information and then consultation with stakeholders to see to it that the borders are properly manned. And at the border, it will not be too much for you to have a address system informing people about COVID-19.
Are they not aware of COVID-19?
The awareness is in two forms.
No,
it can be effective.
They are aware, but they feel that
effective communication matters. But if it's misinformation, it's worse than ignorance.
I think that a lot of people knows about it. They know the danger.
We can't check
but because they want to go and do, their life must continue. Let me read something somebody, a very senior security officer, sent to me. He said, restriction of interstate travels can't work in Nigeria. Security agencies, they can't enforce it. Today, they are collecting, trailers are paying 1,000 naira to move. Other vehicles are paying between 200 to 500 naira, depending on your ability to negotiate. Foot crossing is 200 naira for people to cross. You say, they consider this, the security agencies consider this, it is a salary bonus for security agencies.
Can I tell you that for me, I think that cannot be totally substantiated. It's damning in that if the person is giving his report, can he be specific about the particular border in place? For instance, I know that the efforts of the agencies have been very commendable. One, if you look at the police, for instance, the Nigerian police on their own part.
Okay,
yes.
Well, on the screen we can see pictures of people who are traveling. They get embedded into vehicles that are carrying goods.
Yes.
Pretending as if it's goods, but human beings are there moving.
As I said, you know, we have pictures, you and I we've been around this country. We know how porous these borders are. Now, when you look at the number, for instance, the agency responsible for internal security, Nigeria Police, for instance, you want to look at the number of men that will man the different posts.
No, we're talking about the major roads. There
on
are major roads.
On our major roads.
Yes,
on our major roads, for instance. You can't get 100% assurance that there can be, you know, influx of people.
But is there no way out? What is the way out?
There is a way out. The agents, I think it's still strategic. It still comes down, I will still emphasize that it comes down to information, proper information, effective information.
Okay.
I can assure you that if there is effective information, people will definitely be cautious, but mark you, do not look at it from
Can you travel?
I won't embark on any.
Why?
Because there is a law, there is an instruction.
Okay. We are getting signal to leave, and really we must go because it's time for a call for prayer. But on the screen you can see the statistics as we speak today. That is the statistics of the confirmed cases in Nigeria, 7,261 confirmed cases, and luckily discharge cases is 2,007. 2,207 discharge cases. Sadly, we have lost a large number of persons, but I believe that this COVID-19 pandemic will overcome it.
It's a war,
okay.
And I'm begging that Nigerians should collaborate with the government and the security agencies to win this war.
All right, it's time for call for prayer, Islamic call for prayer. And incidentally, we must congratulate all our Muslim faithfuls who have been ardent to the fasting period. It's time that Allah will answer your prayers and grant your wishes as we end the fasting at this period. Thanks for staying tuned, and bye for now.